I continue my reading of Pope Benedict XVI's encyclical letter entitled Caritas in Veritate, which is to say, integral human development in charity and truth. I begin at number 34, which begins chapter 3. The title of this chapter is Fraternity, Economic Development and Civil Society. I shall read numbers 34 and 35. Chapter 3, Fraternity, Economic Development and Civil Society. Number 34. Charity and truth places man before the astonishing experience of gift. Gratuitousness is present in our lives in many different forms, which often go unrecognized because of a purely consumerist and utilitarian view of life. The human being is made for gift, which expresses and makes present his transcendent dimension. Sometimes modern man is wrongly convinced that he is the sole author of himself, his life and society. This is a presumption that follows from being selfishly closed in upon himself, and it is a consequence, to express it in faith terms, of original sin. The Church's wisdom has always pointed to the presence of original sin in social conditions and in the structure of society. Ignorance of the fact that man has a wounded nature inclined to evil gives rise to serious errors in the areas of education, politics, social action and morals. In the list of areas where the pernicious effects of sin are evident, the economy has been included for some time now. We have a clear proof of this at the present time. The conviction that man is self-sufficient and can successfully eliminate the evil present in history by his own action alone has led him to confuse happiness and salvation with imminent forms of material prosperity and social action. Then, the conviction that the economy must be autonomous, that it must be shielded from influences of a moral character, has led man to abuse the economic process in a thoroughly destructive way. In the long term, these convictions have led to economic, social, and political systems that trample upon personal and social freedom, and are therefore unable to deliver the justice that they promise. As I said in my encyclical letter Spe Salve, history is thereby deprived of Christian hope, deprived of a powerful social resource at the service of integral human development, sought in freedom and in justice. Hope encourages reason and gives it the strength to direct the will. It is already present in faith. Indeed, it is called forth by faith. Charity and truth feeds on hope and at the same time manifests it. As the absolutely gratuitous gift of God, hope bursts into our lives as something not due to us, something that transcends every law of justice. Gift by its nature goes beyond merit. Its rule is that of superabundance. It takes first place in our souls as a sign of God's presence in us, a sign of what He expects from us. Truth, which is itself gift, in the same way as charity, is greater than we are, as St. Augustine teaches. Likewise, the truth of ourselves, of our personal conscience, is first of all given to us. In every cognitive process, truth is not something that we produce. It is always found, or better, received. Truth, like love, is neither planned nor willed, but somehow imposes itself upon human beings. Because it is a gift received by everyone, charity and truth is a force that builds community. It brings all people together without imposing barriers or limits. The human community that we build by ourselves can never, purely by its own strength, be a truly fraternal community, nor can it overcome every division and become a truly universal community. The unity of the human race, a fraternal communion transcending every barrier, is called into being by the Word of God, who is love. In addressing this key question, we must make it clear, on the one hand, that the logic of gift does not exclude justice, nor does it merely sit alongside it as a second element added from without. On the other hand, economic, social and political development, if it is to be authentically human, needs to make room for the principle of gratuitousness as an expression of fraternity. 35. In a climate of mutual trust, the market is the economic institution that permits encounter between persons, inasmuch as they are economic subjects who make use of contracts to regulate their relations as they exchange goods and services of equivalent value between them, in order to satisfy their needs and desires. The market is subject to the principles of so-called commutative justice, which regulates the relations of giving and receiving between parties to a transaction. But the social doctrine of the Church has unceasingly highlighted the importance of distributive justice and social justice for the market economy, not only because it belongs within a broader social and political context, but also because of the wider network of relations within which it operates. In fact, if the market is governed solely by the principle of the equivalence in value of exchanged goods, it cannot produce the social cohesion that it requires in order to function well. Without internal forms of solidarity and mutual trust, the market cannot completely fulfill its proper economic function. And today, it is this trust which has ceased to exist, and the loss of trust is a grave loss. It was timely when Pope Paul VI, in Populorum Progressio, insisted that the economic system itself would benefit from the wide-ranging practice of justice, inasmuch as the first to gain from the development of poor countries would be rich ones. According to that Pope, it was not just a matter of correcting dysfunctions through assistance. The poor are not to be considered a burden, but a resource, even from the purely economic point of view. It is nevertheless erroneous to hold that the market economy has an inbuilt need for a quota of poverty and underdevelopment in order to function at its best. It is in the interests of the market to promote emancipation, but in order to do so effectively, it cannot rely on it only on itself, because it is not able to produce by itself something that lies outside its competence. It must draw its moral energies from other subjects that are capable of generating them. In my next segment, I shall continue reading the Encyclical beginning at number 36.